Welcome to Nutty Buddy Sports. The Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Great.
Got a little click happy there, so I'll just start with my great because I accidentally did that, guys. Sorry. So my great are is Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Like the dueling quarterbacks, their numbers are ridiculous. I just could not believe. I have a stat here. I got to pick both Mahomes and Allen had over 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 0 interception, and 50 yards plus rushing. And that's the first time that's ever been done in NFL history in the playoffs by 2 opposing quarterbacks. Crazy. Go ahead, Nate.
Let me add to those stats. This is the first playoff game where the opposing teams completed 70% of their passes and where both quarterbacks led their team in rushing. It was like the best quarterback play I have ever seen.
Ever. It's so sad. I was talking to Avery about it today. He wanted to come on, but he was just too heartbroken. He couldn't do it. But this is sad that they're in the same conference. This is a Super Bowl worthy matchup game that we're not going to get. It reminds me a little of Brady and Manning a little bit, but anyway, go ahead, Zach.
Well, that was going to be one of my points is I would have much rather had this be the AFC championship game than having the Titans or the Bengals in at all. Because I had a feeling whoever won that game was going to get blown up, whoever won this game. You know, we don't know for sure what was going to happen, but I mean, what a game.
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
Just in the last 2 minutes in overtime, Josh Allen was 5 for 7 with 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Mahomes was 10 for 13 for 188 and 2 touchdowns. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Packers couldn't score in 3 quarters. And these guys scored triple that in 4 minutes. It was wild to watch.
Did they say like the last minute and 54 seconds, the teams combined for like 25 points? That to me is crazy. Like, oh man, that was such an awesome game. Shannon, what was your great?
I'm going to just pick the game itself because, as a fan and not caring, either way about too much about who wins, just from an entertainment aspect of it, it was at the best. Like I can remember years ago, there being overtime playoff games and this was right at the top.
Oh, it was so good. Jake, you're great.
I think I'm going to it's tough, but I'm going to be more specific. The football for super generic, it was a great game. That's probably the biggest thing I can put on it. But specifically, I felt like we watched Josh Allen come of age. I mean, he just, and I know I mentioned it yesterday, watching him truck a defensive back. And when you're a quarterback and you hit someone so hard, they have to take the next play off. It's greatness. So that's my great. Josh Allen destroying people.
Yeah, that was an amazing truck right there. Nate, did you give your great or?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the quarterback play. I said enough, but it was just fun to watch.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well let's move on.
The Good.
That's okay. That's good. That's all right. That's okay.
Okay, maybe what we could do is start with Zach. Zach, what was your good?
I didn't really have a good one because everything I thought was great. I mean, the quarterback play was great. The offenses looked great. So that means if there's no good, that means they're a lot of bad or the worst. So I'm going to skip the good one and just wait for the bad and the worst.
That's fair. What about you, Jake? What's your good?
It is tough to try and figure out something that specifically was good in there. I guess this is an easy out, but Tyreek Hill, I mean, just watching that man with the football, he's got to be, who's the last player that's that electric? And then as he's torching people, waving because he doesn't even need two arms to be that fast. He just waves. Peace. I'm out. Good luck. I mean, the guy's insane. So the good is being able to watch Tyreek Hill be a freak.
The way he stops and starts is crazy to me. That punt return, like where he like goes and then he's like almost stopped, but then he starts and hits the hole that was open like a second, and then he just hits it real quick. I mean, I can't believe someone's that talented, Nate.
That's my good too, because is there a scarier player to play against than him? Like, I thought his coverage on him was pretty good until he caught the ball. And then they keep track of the speeds of all the players. Of the top 5 fastest players this weekend, 3 of those plays were by Tyreek Hill. He's just so fast. What are you supposed to do about it? And then, like Jake said, throwing up the deuces as he runs into the end zone. It's just, he knows he's fast, and that makes it even worse.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's really good. Did I get your Shannon? Did I get your good?
No, my good is kind of what you have here. Gabriel Davis. He's a legit. I think he's going to be a stud wide receiver in the years to come. He's still young, but I like him. He looked good.
Yeah, I did too. He had 201 yards and 4 touchdowns. He like showed up, and then did you guys see that route for the go-ahead touchdown that he ran and the defensive back like turned around and fell over? It was such a beautiful route. So I'm with you.
He got crossed over in a football game.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Legit, if you're listening to this and you have not seen this play, go look it up, because he made that corner look so bad with one little stutter step. That was probably the best play of the weekend, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was, so I'm glad you brought it up, Shannon, because I wanted to give him a shout out. Even though I think his performance was great, I wanted to be specific to mention him as well. And I also had Tyreek Hill down, those 2 guys, 11 for 150 and a touchdown. That slant that he ran for a touchdown, everybody here was like too much time, but it was still pretty cool. That's too much time. Okay, you guys ready for the bad? Let's go to the bad.
The bad.
I'm just going to leave this picture up while we talk about the bad. Okay. Maybe we could start with Zach. Zach, what was your bad?
Yeah, there was a couple bad ones out there. It's just the way the game ended for Avery. I'm going to just throw that out there for him. Rip to the Bills. But I also thought Stephon Diggs, where was he in this game? I don't want to put him in the worst category because it might not have been all his fault, but 3 catches for 7 yards in a game like this, where was he in the second half? I mean, Gabe Davis obviously took over, but I don't know if they were just covering that well or if he wasn't getting open. I mean, it was a pretty bad game for Stephon Diggs when Josh Allen's throwing 330 yards and he only has 7 of those. It's just unexpected. Don't know what happened, but to me that was bad, along with both teams' defenses in the second half, or more specifically in the last 2 minutes of the game anyway.
The best thing he did was tackle that guy who came running out on the field. That's the only thing Stephon Diggs did.
That was good part, right?
Yeah, I wonder if they were just doubling Diggs and anybody else beat us, and that's why Gabriel Davis just went off. It could be, but you're right. You think a player like that would have had a little bit more of an impact. Jake, what was your? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just thinking, if you can look at the Packers game or they used their best players to win the game, and Josh Allen obviously was above and beyond the best player, no doubt. But I mean, even your second best player is Stephon Diggs, and he did diddly squat other than tackling that fan for the end of the game. That was great.
Yeah. Jake, what was your bad?
I'll keep the rant down to a minimum, and that is the Bills going into prevent style defense. You cannot do that. It's just such a way to give away football games. I don't understand why teams do it. I know on the podcast yesterday I talked about it quite a bit, so I'll stay off of it. But the Bills defense on the last drive of regulation was definitely the bad.
Yeah, we talked about it. The biggest and baddest part of that was the 3 timeouts. You can't give up 25-yard chunk plays when they have 3 timeouts. That's the problem. So they shouldn't have they shouldn't have got off their defense unless if they had 0 timeouts. Even so, I don't know. Anyway, and especially with someone like Tyreek Hill, you just never know with that guy. Nate, what was your bad?
Yeah, I agree with the defense, but I don't want to let the Chiefs off the hook either. Their pass defense stunk. Both sides were just giving up chunk pass plays, like they weren't even trying to cover anybody. So I think both secondaries had a bad showing.
Yeah, I think especially it hurt them really bad when Honey Badger went out too with the concussion. Shannon?
Yeah, I'm just going to expound on what you have up here about only being 13 seconds away. And before they kicked off, I believe Tony Romo was saying, why don't you just squib kick it? Because that takes off so many seconds of the clock. And that it was, you wouldn't think that 13 seconds from the 25-yard line would be enough. But that's my bad.
Yeah, it was just, I guess I really don't blame them for not squibbing it, because I would think like they did, like, it's only 13 seconds. What are they going to do anyway?
Right.
But it's just like, you got Kelsey and you got Tyreek Hill and you got to just be ready for that. So yeah. Okay. You ready guys to move on to the ugly?
The ugly. Ew!
Okay, let's get into our ugly. Maybe we'll start with Shannon this time. Shannon, what was your ugly of the game?
Well, I need to expound on what you have written down here, and this is the overtime rule, because Josh Allen, who never got to see the ball in the second half. So this is my take on what the overtime rule I think should be. In the regular season, I think it's fine. It allows games to, run, be over at a reasonable time frame. But in the playoffs, how many times have we seen it where whoever wins the coin toss goes down the field and scores a touchdown? The other team never gets to possess the ball. Now, granted, they're professionals. Defense should have stopped them. But, I mean, these are the playoff games. There's only so many of them the NFL can show. We want to see everyone get their chance. I'd like to see it adjusted so that at least no matter what in the playoffs, both teams get to possess the ball at least one time.
Go ahead, Nate.
What if you just did a 10-minute quarter, like have it be a full 10 minutes? Like then it's just like a fifth quarter. I mean, I do like college rules a lot, but I feel like it's a little easier for guys in the NFL to move the ball 25 yards. But what I thought of was just run another 10-minute quarter. Sometimes they last that long anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Was that your ugly too as well, Nate?
Yeah, I just hate that a game like that got decided by a coin toss. It's a bummer, because I think if Buffalo won the coin toss, the exact same thing was going to happen. So it was rough to see it end by a coin toss.
Yeah. Zach?
I agree with you guys. I think the ugly for me was the 13 seconds, not the bad. You never expect 13 seconds to come back to bite you in the rear end. But looking at it, like I thought the same thing you did, and Tony Romo said the same thing too. If there's 13 seconds, they have 3 timeouts. Why are you not squibbing the ball and trying to run at least a few seconds off the clock? So that way, that's what I thought too when I was watching the game. It was just some poor playing in the last couple of minutes of that game. It made it exciting for us to watch, but some bad play calling, some bad defense. It was ugly.
If poor Bills fans, they get like the 13 seconds here and then the Music City Miracle back in the day. It's like they can't catch a break. Jake?
Yeah, this game was awesome. So my ugly is that regardless of the outcome of this game, unfortunately, is that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be absolute cannon fodder next week. So the quality of football that we had this weekend is going to be very different next weekend. That's my ugly.
Yeah, this is like, to me, 2 weeks too soon. Like, I want this to be my Super Bowl. I don't want it to be in the divisional round of the playoffs. Right. I thought of an idea for the overtime as well. There was this game mode in Madden. I don't know if you guys ever played. It's called Tug of War. It's basically like both teams possess the ball, but you can't punt and you can't kick field goals. So all you can do is score touchdowns, and then you get the ball at the 20, and then you keep going. So you can't punt, you can't do any field goals. It's only touchdowns, so you keep going back and forth until someone doesn't score a touchdown. That's what I would love to see, because that would be super exciting, and we would be still watching this game right now if that was the rule. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, I would do something like that, because I think that would be super fun and exciting for the fans to watch too. Something like, the 10-minute rules would be ideal too, but I just think there'd be more at stake if you're like, you can't punt the ball. So if you got to go for it on 4th down and you're on your own 30, and you put the other team in, scoring range. So anyway, that's what I would do, but I would like them to change it for the playoffs for sure. So, okay. Anything else on the ugly? We good? Okay. Let's get into our final thoughts on this game. Any final thoughts? Do we cover it well? Go ahead, Nate.
I just had one more stat for Patrick Mahomes just to show how good he is. He's had 25 passing touchdowns in his first 10 postseason games, which is the most by any quarterback ever. So to be at a young age and be that effective, I think we're about to watch one of the great ones.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I'm rooting for Patrick Mahomes, okay, is not only did I pick him before the draft, which I mentioned like 45 times on the show, but I think he can be better than Brady if he keeps it up. He's already been to 3 Super Bowls, right? Am I wrong? Or 2 Super Bowls and now 4 AFC championship games. So if he keeps it up, he's not too far off. And I'm hoping that somebody dethrone Brady, because as great as Brady is, when you watch him pass the football, he isn't the best passer of the football you've ever seen. And that's the hard part I have with Brady. He is the greatest of all time, but I've seen people pass the ball way better than he does, like Mahomes and Rodgers. But I would love to see that. Any other final thoughts? Go ahead, Shannon.
So this game was broadcast. It was Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. I think Tony Romo is going to be the next John Madden. Mm-hmm. So one of the reasons that John Madden was so liked was because he was so enthusiastic about the game and he knew the game inside and out. And that's kind of what Tony Romo is. He brings this enthusiasm in the way that he talks when he broadcasts, and he knows the game. And I think Tony Romo brings a lot. People like him, and I think he brings a lot to the game. And this whole overtime thing, I think, is going to get adjusted next season. I think the NFL is going to relook at this, and I think we're going to see changes next year.
Yeah, tug of war, Zach.
Yeah, that's possible, Ryan. It's possible, but unlikely. I was just my final thought on this is I think these 2 teams, we're going to see them a lot in the coming years. I think AFC championship games in the next couple of years, even these are by far, in my mind, the 2 best teams. And I think a lot of the same components are going to be coming back next year for both teams. They're going to be good for like years to come yet. So I'm excited to see them continue to play each other. It's going to be fun.
Who did the Bills lose to last year? Was it the Chiefs?
It was the Chiefs in the AFC championship game.
Right. It was a repeat game.
Okay. If there's really such, and we know this isn't true, this is hyperbole, but if there is really such a thing as football gods, Bills fans do not deserve to lose 4 straight Super Bowls and then deserves to lose 4 straight times to the Chiefs. So don't allow that to happen. Okay. Like, give the Bills something, a little bit of a rope there. Yeah. Jake, you have any final thoughts?
One of the most fun games that I can ever remember. And I enjoy football a lot more when it's not tearing my heart out and screwing my mental state for the next several months.
Yeah. We'll get you some pills for that, but yeah, that sounds good. My final thought, really, Josh Allen is elite. I've been waffling because of his sometimes he can be inconsistent, but I just feel like this playoffs he's shown like he's on the level of top 3 quarterbacks that you want to start a franchise with, maybe even top 2. I think it's top 2, right? Like if you're starting a franchise, it's him and Mahomes. That's it. So that's where I am. But I'm going to let the final word sort of go to our friend Avery. He did send me a note, so we'll listen to what he has to say.
Okay, so clearly there's a lot to unpack here from this game. First of all, Josh Allen is elite. He's that dude. You guys had that conversation a couple weeks ago. He is the best when he's playing at his best. There's no quarterback that comes close, just given his running ability. Just some stats from the playoffs. He had 9 touchdowns and 14 incompletions without any turnovers. He had 149 passer rating, which is the best in NFL postseason history. And really, it's just a travesty we're not going to get to see him play anymore. Obviously, all the conversation going around today is about the overtime rules, which, whatever. I mean, they seem to be fine for a regular season game, but it just sucks to see a playoff game decided where the other team doesn't even get a chance to match a touchdown. I would be okay with like a 10-minute period where if one team is up at the end, then that's the winner after 10 minutes. And then if they're still tied after 10 minutes, then you go and do a sudden death where next score wins. So that's my thought on the overtime rules. I know a lot of people are talking about it. And obviously for the game itself, you go up 3 points with 13 seconds left. You squib kick, you take a few seconds off there, and then you just have to allow your defense, or you have to have your defense stop them short of the 40-yard line, which is, 50 yards they have to go downfield, and they did it in 13 seconds. They didn't squib kick, they had a touchback. Just really frustrating on the defensive end to allow them to have a screenplay there at the end, just kind of inexcusable is what it is.
And that was our friend Avery. So I'll talk to Avery about it later, but I don't know if I agree that he's far and away the best quarterback at his best, because I think Patrick Mahomes is right up there, considering the way these two guys played, and really both of them deserve to win this game. Personally, that's the way I feel. I felt bad. I was rooting for the Chiefs, and at the very end, I'm like, I don't care who wins. They both deserve to win at this point. So yeah, Avery, we're thinking of you, man. Get better. Hopefully we'll be on soon. So, okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed us doing the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly when it came to this game. What was your great, good, bad, and ugly when it came to this particular matchup of the NFL divisional round? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for listening. And if you'd like to listen to the rest of the podcast, the link will be down below, along with some other podcasts. Thanks again for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you guys soon.